Hello. Welcome, welcome. Oh, let me shut my door a little bit. Did everything else? There we go. How's it going? Happy Thursday. Guys just popping in for a little bit. On your mark, get set, go. Hi, Susan. Hi, Julie. Hi, Aisha. Hi, Margaret. Hello, Amy. Hey, Danny. Danielle. Hey, Julie. Again. Come on. Hey, you know, there's a lot of things to get ready. I'm a little feeling like maybe I should have just practiced these since I've sewn them. How many times have I sewn these? There's always some sort of drama with this. How does this lighting look? I have it a little bright because our fabric's a little dark today. But I think that'll work. So I really want to see this over here. I need to work on this still, this setup. So anyway, hi Fiona, how's it going? Oh, I know what I can do. I can raise this up. If chat goes fast, I might miss something. Okay, so we are making, or I am making, the Wardrobe by Me cargo shorts as pants. And I'm doing view B. So there's no side pockets, no butt patch. So basically, this one right here. So there are welt pockets in the back, a waist facing, not a waistband. This is one thing that always throws me off. That's about it, though. They're very straightforward to sew, and the way that Wardrobe by Me does their welt pockets is very easy. So, you know, I know you're all here for the drama, exactly. I am not here for the drama. I'm, yeah, not here for the drama. I made myself a cheat sheet of like the steps because I am going to try and sew these in the same order as the instructions. And I was looking for like a good halfway point for today. It would be really great if we could get through to the zipper fly. And I'm hoping we can, but I actually wasn't thinking we'd get there today, so I forgot to pull my zipper out. So I just brought my box of zippers, so if we get there and we have a lot of time and energy, I'll keep going and we'll pull the zipper out. Because that is pretty fast to sew. I'm going to be doing a mix of, mostly I'm going to be overlocking these together, like with a straight seam and overlock finish, but I will flat fell the inseam, just for anyone curious about that. So we know, yeah, I love these. Yeah, there is a little history with these. I don't know why, and if you don't know the history, it's just that, and I feel like a lot of people find me on my channel because a lot of the menswear I sew, and this short in particular, and I feel terrible because honestly, I really flubbed it the first time I sewed it. I sewed it like a regular zipper fly with a waistband, forgetting it had a waist facing, and I had to rip out so much. So everyone had to rip out if they watched up to that point. But, you know, my disclaimer is I am not here like as a tutorial. This is a live stream. It's a little different, you know. So I do sometimes do a lot of tutorial in here, and I try to be as helpful as possible. But, you know, hey Terry, how's it going? Hey Michelle. So, but for the most part, yeah, these aren't hard. But if you do all the bells and whistles, like all the pockets and the butt patch, they take a long time. And they take me a long time. I remember the last time I did these, I was doing 2 in 1 week. I had to scrap that. I could only finish 1 on the live stream. Like, it was just too much work to do 2. So, you know, give yourself some time to put these together, and never, ever, ever look at the price in the store for something like this because you might cry. So, yeah, that's so true, Aisha. Yeah, this one should be better to watch, hopefully, unless they've given up on me, Amy, which is very likely, right? All right, well, I should have overlocked these before I started. I moved a plug over here so I can put my overlock over here. And I was thinking really I would do that for the fly, since I like to overlock the fly, and I have a little technique I do to enclose the end of the serging if you're kind of nerding out on stuff like that, like I have been the last year, and I'm getting so good at it, so I'm always trying to show that. And that's taken practice, and I think it's been really great to learn that with you guys, because I never finished my serging that way before, and now I'm really into it. So, and sometimes it goes better than other times. All right, so we're starting with our front pockets. I have a cheat sheet here magnetized to the board. Front pockets and the belt loop, and I did overlock the belt loop, which was like right here. Yeah, I was gonna say right here. So I overlocked one long edge here. I have a size 16 needle in. This is a non-stretch twill that I got from Hearts Fabric in Santa Cruz. And it's the slate color, so I'm sorry it's a little dark, but they were very low on color varieties for pants in this twill that were suitable for kind of an everyday kind of color, you know. So there were some fun colors, but I think we were going for more practical. All right, so I'm just right here going, okay, which edge is the edge I want to finish? And I'm pretty sure if you just want to overlock and top stitch it down, you can, or you can even turn it under and top stitch it down. It just depends on what you're going for and if you have a serger, right? So let's see, and then this one here is like this, okay? So you're gonna wanna do this edge and this edge. I kinda wanna go whoop, like this. And I think I might do that. I like organic shapes when it comes to things like this. So I'm just gonna round this out a little bit. The crazy thing today, when I was looking over the instructions and making sure I was gonna sew these in the same order as the instructions, I found this. What does this say? Changes to make. Did I see this any of the 4 times I pulled this pattern out before I even streamed yesterday? No. Did I see this when we leafed through all of the instructions yesterday, which is where I found it? No, I didn't. So, thoughts and prayers, right? Yeah. Because I'm pretty good about this. By the way, I did look for something like this. Every time I open a pattern I've made and I've had trouble with, I look for my little thing, like what to do next time. So the things I wrote on here are widen the fly facing. That's a big one because it's built onto the pant. Fix pocket facings to match pocket length and shape. Don't know what that means. This might be these things. Add waist notch for center front seam. There is a notch there. But I bet this means something different. Change to waistband. Definitely didn't do that on this pattern, so I know probably none of these changes have happened because it is still a waist-facing pattern. Check pocket opening is big enough. Waist snap is hard to fit. Boy, howdy is it ever. So anyway, you know, you try and be kind to your future self, and sometimes, yeah. See, this looks larger. Oh, but you know what? I did trim down the waist a little bit, so that's probably why. I'm nervous. All right, I'm just rounding this so I don't have that point there, like that. All right, so I'm going to overlock these 4 edges. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Aisha. The Dawn Jeans pattern is staring at you, exactly. Come here. I'm going to lengthen this a little bit. I really put that narrow. So, you know, because it's now rounded, I don't have that like corner to have these little tails hanging off of. That's why I did it. 2 more. Sydney, I saw you have the rest of the day off and did it tomorrow off. You can immediately, yeah, oh yeah, totally, Rose. I sometimes am able to do that too. This is one of those patterns that I've revisited a few times, and sometimes I revisit it months after I sewed it because my husband's like, hey, do you think that this could be changed? And then I'll start writing notes, and I'm not even in the middle of like cutting and sewing it. I'm fixing a sewn pair. So yeah, I think it's always a good idea to do it right away if you can. All right, so then when these little narrow ones are gonna go on the top pocket, which is the one with the curve, right? And then this one is the pocket facing. Now I like the print side of my pockets to face to the inside of the pant. So I'm going to sew them that way, which means by the instructions, this is going to be considered the right side in my shorts, okay? Very necessary downtime. So I'm just going to stitch this down. See, this is very long. So maybe this is what I meant. Just going to line it up down there. And top stitch it down. Why did that sound funny? Are you sewing? You're sewing. Okay, I'm just making sure. It's for those curves. I always just lift the presser foot up because you know it'll get a little stretched out. You know what? My machine now sounds different every time, and it's because I have the home Juki now. There's nothing wrong with it. It just sounds so different. The home Juki is so much more like loud, and this is so quiet. It sounded like things weren't connecting. All right, so let's line this one up here. So this is what I call the under pocket, that's like the classic name for this pattern piece because it's the one that's on the bottom of the 2 pocket bags. It's the one the palm of the hand will face. Why are you sounding like you're winding a bobbin? There's not even a bobbin over there. All right, and then on this one, we're facing and finishing the opening of the pocket right here. So remember, this is considered the right side. Which means I'm even confused here. If this is against the pocket, I want this to be clean finished like this. Is that right? No. No, we're going to do this with the pocket, with the fronts, I think. Put it right here. Let me do the belt loops as well right now. Let's iron these first. Which Juki? I have a 8700-7. It is my corduroy blazer. Wait, look, there's some chat. Sorry, let me. Oh, okay, wait, I'm just catching up. Yeah, usually I put that little thing facing out of my pattern, like the sleeve, that clear envelope thing. I put it at the front there. So I probably pulled the instructions out and put them in a couple of times, and they got in between the pages. Never good. All right, so we're gonna do some belt loops today. See, this is when we want that metal rod. Now, my trick not my trick, the trickiness I find with belt loops is that I like to do 2 rows of stitching down the belt loop, but that means you have to be able to catch this and it not be too far so that it shows, you know, like on the right side, like that, right? Hopefully the lighting is okay. So I always struggle with this. They always make it sound really easy, and then I always struggle with where to put this. I think that'll work. I can go like 1/8 of an inch in on each side like that. So what is that fold? That's the fold we're gonna do, this much. It's like a fat 1/2 inch. It's kind of a lot. I think this is a little too much right here. I keep seeing it. All right, and then sometimes I will sew this in a tube, you know, like right sides together and pull it through. Most of the time though, the fabric is too thick for that and I just struggle, you know. They're a little thicker here. You see it? It's probably the cutting, to be honest. Yeah, it's a little flatter. But see, like I also like to stitch from the right side, and now I'm like, will I catch that little edge? So let's see, how far away is this edge? So if I were to be right here stitching it down, that kind of means I'm lining it up with my feed dogs right here. Should we try? I'm gonna do a couple of stitches. See that I just did the back stitch way over there? My home machine's ruining me. Okay. So I'm just staring at that little spot right there. All right. Yeah, we caught it. That's good. I don't like that to be, ooh, I really got the edge there. It's kind of far away from the edge on this side, but we're gonna do the same thing on this side and it'll look symmetrical, so that'll kind of sell it. It's like a little bird chirping. Do you hear it? Yeah, that looks actually kind of nice. Right? Kind of wide. Really bright. Sorry, guys. Here, we'll do this. All right. Let's get our fronts out here. We need to cut these into 2, 4, 5. What does this measure? 12, 20 inches. Is it 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. It's 6. 20 divided by 6? I don't like that. That's like 3 1/4 inches, right? 3 times 6 is 18. It's like 3 1/3 inches. Let's see what it says. Cut 6 belt loops. Oh my goodness. That doesn't seem long enough, I agree. 3 1/3. So if you're doing 6, theoretically you can go like this. You can cut it in half, right? And now you do these in thirds. Something like that. Yeah, the belt loop strip could be longer. We can always make more belt loops. Plus I need to double check all these, measure the right length. Because the turn of cloth around this is going to definitely make these all slightly different. But it's not, it's close. Let's get rid of some of these edges. So this is going to be my last live streams for a while probably, unless I just do something spontaneous, just so you guys know. And I was pretty sad about it at the beginning of the month, thinking that like the original like intent of my channel was live streams, right? But, you know, live streams just don't pay the bills. So I need to do some other things. And I'm actually, like, I spent some time making myself a new notebook calendar in an app. I'm actually ridiculously proud of it because I linked the pages and everything. So, like, I can just tap the side and it goes to, like, the month I want, you know? And I've kind of created a new routine, and I'm kind of excited about it. So you'll still see videos from me, and I'm going to be working on Fittopedia. That is my #1 priority besides working at Sew Liberated. So, hello, Nancy. Hello, hello. Oh, that would be cute. That sounds good, the contrast. Okay. I'm not going to fuss with these much longer. We'll check them when we get closer to the end, too. All right, so we're going to need 2 right now, and then the rest go on the back. So we have our fronts here. And we're going to lay this wrong sides together, and we're going to sew our pocket facing right sides together with the fabric of the pant. See, then it makes more sense. Right, you're going to sew this all as one. Yeah, it's kind of like making mine. Hey, Jackie, how's it going? Chipmunk. She hasn't missed much. She should just join us. Join us. Join us. All of these angles don't match up. Is that my terrific cutting or what? How's that? All right, so we have this one. When I'm making pants, I don't know about you guys, but I always do this. You'll sometimes see it in like tutorials. I fold up my pants like this, and I just pin it. They drive me crazy. Ugh. Like this. Now I just have to deal with this, you know? It's just so much easier. If you don't have much throat space between your needle and the machine, you'll thank me for this. We only need this upper area, right? All right, so let's put this wrong sides together. facing right sides together. This one matches way better. So I was cutting this little guy in sort of my scraps yesterday, so maybe I missed a corner there. All right, I'm gonna press these. What are you talking about? Angles not matching. All right. Just gonna press it flat first, and then we'll press it to the inside. I like to make sure a little bit of my outer pants showing on that edge there. One thing I could be a lot better at is sewing these types of pocket openings that are on a slant as symmetrical as possible to one another, because this is one thing you feel very keenly when you're putting your hands in your pockets, that one will feel smaller than the other. And these kinds of pockets with they're not my favorite. Like, I like the way they look and all that, but as far as getting to sewing, I think they're kind of hard sometimes. Because you know, like on jean pockets, you have that little, you know, the opening is like a little curve like this. That has a right angle. The pocket has a right angle at the side seam. It's a very clear, you know, defined shape. Whereas this with the angle, any little tiny bit, like if this angle goes like this, like comes down, it makes the opening way larger, or if it's up. So you change your seam allowance at the bottom from the top, your pocket changes size very easily. You know what I mean? So I feel like they're a little bit tricky. I wanted to see how far in. So is the pocket facing just kind of loose? Like maybe I want to sew this down. I'm going to sew this down. Why isn't that matching? Maybe I did this in the wrong order. I mean, you could leave it like that. You could just understitch it maybe, or you could stitch it through. I'm going to stitch it from the right side as well. But I'm definitely not going to only stitch it from the right side and leave this flapping around like this. So this is just me not doing that in the right order probably. Sorry about that. Where's the back stitch? All right, so what do I want? Maybe like a 3/4 inch. I think that could look nice. How's the lighting? How are we doing? One of the reasons you don't see me sew some things on camera is fabric choice. I don't want all of the same color things, and you know, sometimes you want dark things and I can't sew them on camera. It's kind of a bummer, especially like a lot of the plaid shirts I sew, they end up being, you know, kind of dark or busy. You know, sometimes they're kind of busy. Get over there. That's not the right, I'm like, why does this seem different? I was doing the wrong line. I was covering up the 3/4 line and going to the 1 inch, so let's hope I didn't damage the fabric here. I like inseam pockets, but I like the pockets to be secured, you know? Sometimes when they're flapping around in there, that drives me crazy too. There's something to like and dislike about everything, isn't there? I can get really picky. I've had this like ideal dress design in my head for a while, and I just want to just make it so bad. And it's nothing like overly interesting, like at all. It's just, what if we wore clothes that had nothing to do with how we thought we looked in them, or how we thought other people saw us? It was just purely about function and comfort. That's the dress, my dress idea. And I know people think, oh, well, there's designs like that out already. Are there, though? Or are they, like, centered on looking a certain way, you know, or a certain style? So I feel like there are designs that function really well. Okay, here we go. So I'm a little on the fence of whether to keep this little hook right here. My problem is that I really can't stand this curve when I'm pressing the pants later on, because it's right here at the center front, right? So here's your fold line, right? So this is the front, and the zipper fly will be right here, and there's the waist facing. And what happens is when you're pressing all this, you get this little curve right here, right at the crotch, and that I don't really like. And so I might just trim this off, like straight up, personally speaking. So I will probably be changing the pattern, I guess, from the sewing. But if you want to keep the what's this called, a pocket stay, if you want to keep the pocket stay, once you finish your pocket, you just line it up to the front, and then you sew everything as if it's not even there. You just treat it as one, where I'm going to keep mine separate. So, you know. Yeah, right, Terry, exactly. As long as the, hey, Mary, as long as the pockets can reach, you know, sometimes those waist seams are so high up that I'll make the pocket reach, and I feel like I could probably put a whole other pocket above the pocket, you know. You're very, you're very curious. I think you just described pajamas. I don't like sleeping in dresses for pajamas, though. Let's see, where do I want this to go? Let's go right here. You can just ask me during workshop. I'll show you. It's a design in my iPad. It's nothing fancy. I saw Splash Fabric was featuring someone's make today in this fabric. I was like, oh, that's funny. Wait, where's that little hook? The plaid shirt worked out really good. I just posted a picture of it on Instagram today, and I'm going to do a couple of follow-up posts with it showing the before and after fitting. He, like everybody, has a lot of unique fitting issues that are pretty intense to. They affect a lot of things, you know, because it's the shoulder slope and stuff like that. But he loves it. He said, I think I might have a new favorite shirt. And I think that's partly the fit and the fabric. He hasn't spent any time much, like, wearing it, except yesterday, for the style. So I'm hoping he likes the style, too, because it's very different than what I usually make him. You know, usually I make him like a Fairfield, and that is very classic button-up, and he loves the heck out of that shirt. Whereas the Sanders is very distinctly different in that it has back panel seams to take out some of the volume in the back. If you want, there's like two views. That's the view I selected. And there's a front yoke seam, so there's a drop pocket with flaps. I never thought he would like flat pockets. I'd always avoided them. I thought he hated that. He loves those. He loves them because he wants a pocket. He also, I didn't know he always wanted a pocket on each side. I was only ever cutting and sewing one pocket on the Fairfield. I don't know what it was. I feel like there's something he told me once where he's like, I hate 2 pockets. So, my bad. All these years I've been making him 1 pocket shirts and I could have just cut the other one out, you know? So, it looks really good on him. I love how it looks. There's a couple things I'll probably tweak. The collar circumference is a little big. It's fine on him. It's mostly because of the angle of his neck. It was larger, but I think I can cinch it up a little bit and make it look a little more proportional. I also think that collar, not talking the fit of the circumference, but the height of the turn down part and the stand are quite large. So I'll probably just trim those down a little just for preference sake. So, oh yeah, exactly, Nancy, yeah. Hey, Matthew. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. The Jensen's a nice shirt. Have you seen the, speaking of nice shirt patterns, I think my husband just got back the Arbor by Merchant and Mills. If you're into like men's button-up shirts, that is one of my favorite things I've made for him. Really different details, really different collar construction. Oh, thanks, Mary. It's nice of you. The Jensen I made for him was in that, what was the fabric? It was like yak. Yak wool and cotton. It is the softest thing ever. I love it. The Jensen. Who's the Jensen by? Wardrobe by Me? Wardrobe by Me, right? Yeah, I think it is. Okay. Let's finish up this pocket. And we'll have our fronts kind of, what am I doing here? Oh, that was right. So I'm going to do a French seam along the perimeter because I like that. Let's get rid of this little thing here. Who knows? Who knows? My God, I'm so turned around here. Sorry. But yeah, that fabric was at Maker's Fabric, and their site's temporarily closed. His poses are, he's like, I must look like a mannequin. My mom once was teasing me about my poses, and then proceeded to not accurately describe the way I pose, but the way Michael poses. And I was like, I don't pose like that. And she's like, yeah, you do. All of your photos are like that. I was like, because she said all my poses, I was like this. I'm all, no, I look down. I look down. I do have a cliche pose because whatever, I don't really care. And sometimes I kind of like accounts that are really consistent because then it's less about that and more about what they're trying to show you, you know? Like, I'm not trying to win awards. You know? I was like, you're describing Michael. She would never say a bad thing about Michael, ever. And she was like, oh. Yeah, I know. I think before she was moving, and now it sounds like they have expanded their family. So, yeah. And I don't think her Instagram is active, even. I signed up for updates because that's where I got my green linen for the dress. For the sleeves, I'm missing. So I'm really hoping that she comes back and she still has some of that green linen and I can get a half yard and put them on my dress. Exactly, Tiffany. Exactly. In fact, I posted a picture of my hinterland dress and the sweater the other day. It's like a burgundy plaid kind of thing, fat dress. That is not the picture I thought I chose as my cover photo or any photo I wanted because I look so snarky. I was like, wait. As I was trying to reply to a few comments, I went to the post. I was like, wait, that's the photo I chose? I'm not trying to look snarky at y'all. I may be feeling snarky, but I wouldn't try and make you feel like I was feeling snarky. And if I am feeling snarky, it's really just because I'm like, here I am posting a photo of something that probably is whatever. All right, let's trim this very organically shaped pocket, huh? Could have been a little square. One of the reasons this pocket in particular is, mine's longer by the way. I don't know if you caught the cutting stream. My pocket is longer than the one in the instructions. Or in the pattern. And you have to, because of the cargo pockets on this pattern, it has to not be attached to the side seam here. You have to be able to go like this when you sew the cargo pockets on. So that's why mine is pretty, you know. Oh, here we go. I always think Sonia Phillip is really funny in hers because she'll be like, yet another photograph where I'm trying to figure out what to do with my hands. I think that's so funny. I'm like, yep, I know what you mean. Oh wait, let me see here. I missed a couple. Is that those? Maybe I have to give it. Okay, so I'm turning these wrong side out. And we're gonna just go press that and enclose the seam. You could just like overlock these. You don't have to do all this work. So now I'm trying to teach myself how to use Inkscape. So all the people who do projector patterns, I may be bugging you a little bit. I have this video I want to do. I'm chipping away at. It's going to take a couple weeks to do, but I've been doing all my sketches for it because it's going to have a lot of Procreate. Oh, actually, I'm mixing up two videos. I have two videos that are going to be coming out about pants. One of them is about grading between sizes that I kind of touched on in a workshop recently, and I thought I'd make a visual of it. And then another one is about pants fitting. And that one I'm doing a lot of sketches for because I really want to make sure I do a good job on it. But the other one, the grading one, I want to have some patterns printed out, but I only want one pattern piece, and I want it in multiple sizes, but I don't want to print out that page 3 times because I don't want to, it's like there'd be so much waste. So I was thinking like, you know what, maybe I should learn Inkscape so I can place the pattern piece on the page multiple times, and then that way save printing a page. But guess what I found? That I have a local large format printer a block away from me. So, oh, neat, Aisha. That's really cool. What's the, it's a class, but that's for projector sewing, right? I think the other thing that would be nice about using Inkscape is if I want to make like a marker layout for cutting. Sometimes I should just use the projector file and print it out, because then you would not have to do a layout. I say this, and we all know I don't even look at the layout, so I don't know why I'm even thinking about that. With the projector layout, not that I want this to become a whole thing about projector sewing, I'm just kind of curious. Do they give you one layout and then you toggle off the sizes you don't want, and so there could be a lot of space between the pieces? Is that how that works? Oh, cool, Aisha. That's really cool. I would buy that class for sure. Hey, Sylvia, how's it going? See ya, Amy. All right. Not much space here to enclose that. Okay. So now we have our front pockets. Going to line them up along the side seam and waist edges. And I'm going to tack them down. And treat it as one. I don't really like that little bubble. I can feel a little bubble in there. See if I can drape it out a little bit. See that? What's going on there? Oh yeah, look at that bubble I have. How do I get rid of that? Maybe I'll take out a few of these stitches and sort of force the bubble into the seam here. That might be the best way to deal with it. Thanks for not making me use contrast thread, because you really, I don't know how you see anything that I'm sewing. Oh, it depends on the pattern maker. Interesting. That would really bug me. Okay, so let's see. We got this nice and flat here, right? And we have this little bubble happening right here. So could I... There we go. Do this. I'm going to pull that bubble down. And what's going to happen is this seam is going to blump over. Can you see that? I'm going to let that blump over and blend it in down here. I could take out a few more stitches and get rid of that. I don't want that to show on the outside, you know? There we go. I'm fine with that. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Phew. See how this one looks. Do I got a bubble and blump? No bubble there. Okay, good. That's nice. Okay. For the first time in my life, no, it's not the first time, but one of the only times, I'm going to compare my pocket openings right now. You know? This is kind of information you don't want to know sometimes, but hey. You know, okay. I feel pretty good about that, okay. And once this is sewn here, like right here, that's where the seam allowance is going to hit that, and the seam allowance is going to get hit here. That's definitely a big enough pocket opening. All right, so, oh, we just need to put our belt loops on here, and I think they go, it's like an inch in front of here. Maybe like right here. There's probably a notch that I missed. We have the fly stitching coming over here. Something like that. And let's put this one in the same place. He will wear a belt sometimes. I don't, but he does. So I don't want to forget those. Okay, let's set those aside. And now we are going to work on the welt pockets. We need this and this and this. Yeah. I'm thinking maybe I'll integrate this little quilt square on his pants today. Not today, I mean on this pair. No, maybe. I don't even know how to use it. I didn't sew past this because this is how you sew these, but I don't know, where would I even put that? There's no waistband, so maybe it won't happen. I don't know, we'll see. Oh, shoot. Hello, Dress Taylor, how's it going? Sorry, I just noticed I missed some chat. Got you started. Hi, Barbara, how's it going? It's okay, Jackie. I think that, like, when I first started reading chat, I was really accustomed to reading live chats from other people's streams, and I know what it looks like when there's a cat walking across the keyboard. Like, that happens for people sometimes, and they're like, oh, sorry. Or, yeah, they're doing speech to text or whatever. But it was really funny seeing other people learn how to use a live chat and being mortified that they make a mistake and then deleting their thing. And I'm like, no, you don't have to do that. It's fine. That's kind of cute. Okay, so here we have our cargo pockets. Let's put all this away. And I did do a little hair marker box. Like, I used my hair marker and I just drew the box on there. I only did it on one. It transferred though through. Can you see that? I can barely see it. We don't really care about writing the box on the pants though. We want it on the pocket lining anyway. So we just want to know generally where it goes. And this is my little template. I just print the pattern piece out on cardstock and use it all the time. So here is my pockets. And this fabric, I don't think it's directional. It's not directional. At first, all of a sudden, I was thinking it might be. So if your fabric is directional, well, you're going to have to be careful there. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, live chat, the autocorrect in live chat is really annoying. I'm going to overlock my ends here. You don't have to do that. You could turn them under and top stitch. I'm just going to do it for bulk sake. So sorry, I'm going to sit here and search for a little bit. I'll bring over the serger when we do the serging of the center front fly. whispering on me over here. Maybe I need to turn down, shut this blind. Oh, jeez. Okay. I've been making some chanterelle pants at home by Sew Liberated, and I took one of the Gildies' advice, and they were like, just use your old serger, because I boxed it up when I got this one. I got it out, threaded it and everything. It's a nice serger, but it's loud. Like, I was like, guys, this one kind of quiet, but it is a little louder. It could be that I'm just never heard a serger in that room in the house, you know, like it's just a new sound, but it does sound kind of loud. The stitches are so nice on that machine, but it doesn't like thickness transitions. Like, oh, you're going to hem something and you're going to go over a side seam. No. It's like, I'm going to stop right here. Like it's a cliff or something and you're asking it to jump off. And you're like, dude, just jump. You're like coaxing it. And it does a little like wobble. Oh, just drives me crazy. All right, so I feel like I knew I didn't. Oh wait, there's some notches. I was a little concerned that I didn't put the notches on here, which would be very like me. I get so mistrustful of notches, you know. I'm gonna put the facing on either side and then see how we're doing. One's a welt, one will be your pocket facing. Okay. It looks omnidirectional. That is a very good way to put that, Barbara. I'm just gonna go down the side here. I think one little thing I'm gonna do is also overlock. I don't know. Do I want to enclose the... There's only that notch there. Okay. Do I want to enclose the sides? I kind of do. Okay, so here's one. And if you notice, I'm doing this on the, again, I like the print of my pockets to show to the inside of the pant. So that means I have to consider it the wrong side in the instructions. This is taking me years to get right. So I know it visually looks very confusing, but this will be the inside of my pocket bag, and that is why I'm attaching my facings to the wrong side of this print, because it is the instructions think it's the right side. All right. And if you're not thoroughly confused, I am impressed. Are here today, 34. That was a good short. Nancy, I really like your speech to text. I think, like, I don't think you really appreciate that we know that's what you're doing, and so you get a free pass. Like, we know, oh, that's speech to text. Like, we know what she's trying to say. Like, it's not even a like thing. It's just like, oh, okay, got it. You know, we understand. All right, so there's not a lot of people here, but and Aisha is here. She'll probably kill me for saying this. Okay, so I think its facing will be inside of the pocket bag. Maybe I can keep it straight with that. Yes, the facing's the inside of the pocket bag because like that's what you peek through the pocket opening. You know this. I spell like horseshoes and hand grenades. I don't know what that means, but I like it. All right, so. All right, we've been talking about like retreats lately, sewing retreats. And I'm sure there's a few of you who've been to a sewing retreat and we're kind of wanting to put one together. And what the biggest struggle is finding a place that has sewing machines, so not everybody has to schlep their machine there. Now, I have had this wild hair idea for like about a year, not very long, that I would love a workshop space that people came to. And this kind of surprised me. Doesn't seem like something I would really like. I am definitely I'm very extroverted, but I'm also I'm private, but I don't like being pinned down. I'm a hard worker. I will be the most loyal thing ever. But at the same time, the idea of having like a brick and mortar type of thing that people visit, that doesn't seem like that would be in my normal scope of my personality. And my husband last year, while he was unemployed, he's like, maybe we should open a fabric store. And I was like, heck no. Like, I have no interest in that, and there's nothing you can say to convince me of that. And I thought that was interesting. I said, but I would kind of like a place where I could teach sewing classes, or have a space where others can teach sewing classes, or have other guest teachers, which would be really cool to have like other teachers come and take a class and be able to see that and everything. And he's like, okay, I don't know, whatever, you know, get that. But like, he's like, that's cool, but that's not a fabric store. I think you'd have to have some supplies. I'm not saying you wouldn't. I'm just saying I'm not really interested in being a fabric buyer. So, we've been talking about like the potential of a retreat, and I watched another fellow YouTuber's video about her new retreat space. Look at this notching I did. That's my notch. I can see it. I know that's the notch, but still, like, I could have thrown myself a little bit more of a bone there. The YouTuber's Lauren Mormino. I don't know if you guys know her. She's one of the only other live stream sewers that I noticed when I was looking for other live streaming sewing. I'm not about being competitive with stuff like that. Like, oh shoot, my needle fell off. I was gonna do the trick where I backstitch in the meat of the dart. When I'm not doing a dart that's like a bust dart, I will backstitch it because this is going to be in the pocket, and I really want it to be secure. I'm going to sew over that also. Anyway, she's a bag maker, really good bag maker, and she opened a studio. I didn't even know about it, and she has a little video about like her first class that was there, and it is exactly what I would love to have. I'm so impressed and inspired by it. I couldn't stop thinking about it last night. It doesn't help that there is this building I'm in now is all empty offices, just like my old building was. And oh yeah, there is Barbara. I know that you're talking about. And anyway, this building just gets more and more empty, even though we just moved in, because they're all medical offices and they're all moving over to they're consolidating. Okay, anyway. So there is this one spot here that it's the only office that was a kind of a retail place, because it was a pharmacy. So it has actual real windows, like floor to ceiling windows. And I want it really bad. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, I keep thinking about it, and it would be perfect for my retreat center. I'm just top stitching the dart here. And in her space, she has industrials, and I was thinking, that seems kind of maybe not very appealing for some people. Here's the deal, though. It's genius. And you know why it's genius? She doesn't have to deal with tables for home sewing machines, which aren't ergonomic. This is ergonomic. You see, like, my elbow is, well, kind of like my chair isn't the right chair, but you know, my elbow height is the height of the table, right? And usually this is a table, you put your machine on top of it and the machine, you're like sewing like this, right? You all doing that, right? And so you could get a bunch of cabinets. Those cabinets where the machine recesses inside are 1,500 easy. So if you were to get, like, if I were to do something really simple like a Juki TL, which doesn't even have a zigzag stitch, by the way, we're talking about $2,500 per station minimum. And with a industrial, you could probably buy the industrial for $1,600, and it comes with a table. So yeah, that space, Barbara, that is Honey Run Quilters, and it's inside of Kathy's Sewn back, and they have a really big classroom there. I've taught there one time. They don't really have a whole lot of garment interest, I don't think, and then the panini happened, and it really kind of curtailed a lot of that. They would love it if I teach there. I just don't know what to teach. But I could do that. But you have to bring your machine. You do have to bring your own machine there. So there's that. So I don't know. I'm kind of interested in hearing what people's thoughts are of, like, if they've been on retreats, what they liked, what they didn't like, what they'd hoped, what they would like, what would make them go to a retreat. And I'm not talking about like a spa. I'm talking about you go somewhere and you either take a class or you go somewhere and you hang out with your buddies and sew. Oh, Cindy Needham. Yeah. She doesn't provide machines either. I found her. She has a few, yeah. She has a website about that. I actually saw that the other day. It looks cool. Yeah, but you're right. She doesn't supply machines either. It's kind of tricky. It's hard to find that. I wonder if I would be... Maybe I shouldn't be noodling on this right now, but maybe having straight stitch machines would be too limiting. Okay, let's do a welt pocket. This is, look at this. If Terry's here, she understands. That's going to be a problem. Look at this. We're going to iron it. Because we're going to start training it. It was the edge of the fabric. We got to perk this puppy up. Okay, I don't want to lose my box, though. Let's just press these a little bit. Let's do a good job. You see it. You're like, I see it. I know that tone. You can do a lot with straight stitch machines. If you don't have finishing that requires something like a serger, I think you're okay. I think it will too, but it's only 3/8 inch seam allowance along the waist, and it's 5/8 on the back because I added enough for the flat fill. Okay, so here we have our pocket. So, and here we have my template, which I just basically printed out the pattern piece. This is my pant version of the Wardrobe by Me cargo short, but this is it, right? So this is the actual pattern piece, and this was just a piece of cardstock I had on hand. That's why it's purple. This is the, that's the green line. Those are the belt loop marks. Is this the center back? That's, okay, so that's the center back. Let's write that on there. I assumed it was because of the notch, but I don't want to ever assume because there's 3 notches there. That, for me, I'm like, 3? Mainly because there would be like a double notch and then a bunch of staggered double notches for multi-sizes. a single notch to me says that's the side seam, not the, let me see if I can tell. But this right here lines up. So we're gonna write center back like that. It's the grain line that I'm like, huh. But that's the grain line, it's parallel. So, all right. I feel okay. All right, so this is, remember, the wrong side of my fabric, and this is the right side, right? So we're gonna close this dart. That is not ideal, right? But we can kind of line this up here. And I can do some chalk. I need a weight. Here we go. And I think I'm going to try and use my soapstone pencil. When it's dark fabrics, I feel I have fewer options. I just usually like the hair marker. It's so precise and sharp, you know. And Elizabeth, do you fly with your machine then? I would too. But I think there's a lot of people that their machines are just not very mobile to bring, you know, on a plane. Barbara, are you here? Like, you must have gone to a lot of these, like, you go to a lot of classes, right? So right now I'm just like looking at this box and looking at the one I drew on the pocket here. I'm also looking, this notch at the top lines up with the dart. You don't have to be socially loquacious to take a class though. Like, you don't have to, but I get it, you know? You don't, you know. I have lots of things about that, but you could just go and keep to yourself. I would be fine with people doing that. Yeah, it is, Michelle, indeed. Don't you have in-person retreat classes there? I mean, I know a few people. I follow a few people in the UK that have them, like Frugalissima, Beyond Measure, Camille. Oh, okay, Barbara. Yeah, you got to drive. Yeah. Makes sense. All right, so we're going to sew this box. I'm going to go around the outside edge of my soapstone here. I'm also going to decrease my stitch length. And I always start in the middle. Don't start at a corner. Don't start at a corner. Always start in the middle of your box. You can barely see this corner here. Count your stitches at the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. And right now, I would much rather be parallel to this side than anything else. One, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, if you can drive, it's not an issue. Yeah, that's true, Michelle. All right, so we have our box sewn on here. You know, a little interfacing, not a bad idea around that, depending on your fabric. Not a bad idea. I'm gonna use my seam ripper to start a hole so I can get in there. There we go. This is a very tiny hole. I'm going to pull up the 2 layers of fabric and do them individually. Oh, really, Elizabeth? I mean, I hear you. Like, Sew Expo, I had to teach on machines I'd never used before, and I was definitely struggling a couple times. They were very nice machines. They were just a little too much for me. And there were 2 helpers to help people, which was very appreciated. They were really nice and helpful. But I was really jealous when I heard another classroom had these like super basic machines. I was very flattered that they were like, oh, we're going to put you in this room with these fancy machines. But that's just so not me. I'm very like, I would like straight stitch only. You know? If you have trouble getting into your corners, I will sometimes use my seam ripper and I'll poke it. See, here's my corner right here, right? I'll poke it in the corner and go away like that. Don't like, you don't need to like go all the way up to the corner. You want to get almost all the way up to the corner. This one's not cut. There we go. Okay. Oh, there were stairs, Aisha. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they better help you. That's not very accessible. Okay, so we're gonna press all this, and I just kind of don't like my biggest thing with welts, and this isn't like a real welt, but it's gonna give you a really nice one. Don't assume things are bad yet. Things are gonna look really terrible for a bit when you do this, especially like once you turn it, you're gonna be like, oh no, it's bad. But you haven't done the ironing yet, so all right. So now we're going to press this edge again. And you can do things like this, go, right? It'll make that noise. So just keep pressing, just keep pressing. What do we do? Press, press. And right here, I lift this up and I'll like pull on this little corner and then pull below and then pull on top and get my box. Give it a chance, you know, like pull, pull, pull. If you really have a big pucker and you're just like, nothing I do can make that calm down, then open it up a little bit and press it. I mean, clip it and do it a little more. All right, so now let's press this bottom edge here. Now we're going for something that looks vaguely like a rectangle or exactly like a rectangle, right? Okay. All right, and so now what you're gonna do, I would like to see less of my outer on this piece here. Yeah, like this. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press this like this. Yeah, that's way better. Okay. Now, this right here gets pulled up to make a welt, all right? So I know I made a box down there, but I'm just sort of training it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press that seam allowance up towards the opening, flat, because it's going to stay up there. And we're going to press or fold this like you want a nice parallel fold. So take a little bit of time to get a nice even amount You can kind of look at it and go, does that look pretty even? Right? Like this, right? And now let's take a gander at it from the right side. I'm just going to pin it so I have my little fold here, because I think it's not quite straight along the bottom edge, so I want to look at it. It's not bad. It could be a little better. Sometimes I find that the fabric choice makes a huge difference with these things. This fabric is pretty compliant. If you do something a little more loosely woven, like a linen, it'll be really easy to get a nice crisp box, but you might end up, if you're not careful with these corners, you'll have little threads poke out because of the open weave. So you gotta be kind of careful, you know. All right, and so these little puckers here, they happen because you see these triangles, right? Those, so here's our seam allowance, right? Here's our seam allowance, and here's this triangle seam allowance, and this little gap right here, that's why. It's sinking down into those gaps, right? So if you can press these edges separately, it helps a little bit. Sorry I can't see chat. I'm sorry if you're talking or asking questions. I'm about to look in just a second. Actually, we'll do this. Pick this up. I'm no tailor. I'm sure there's lots of really great tips from tailors and things. We're not tailoring, though. We're just making some men's pants. Thankfully, my husband is a lot nicer on his clothes than I am. Otherwise, I could make a quip like, and maybe the next day, he'll spill coffee on him. No, that's me. I would do that, not him. Hi, Diane. How's it going? I took myself out of the guild because Safari wouldn't recognize my password. I use password manager, still in the app and Brave and still in the app and Brave in the guild. Are you locked out? Oh no. Hi, Lean. How's it going? It is cotton twill. But the review is up and the pictures are in the comments because I can't. The review of what? Oh, a post in the guild. Yeah, you need to do article. There's a whole section on navigating the guild, and it talks about that. Yeah, you want to do article. I wish they would change the name of that. No worries, Lean. Okay, so here we have our little welt. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stitch this down. Oh, wait, let me look at my notes. That's right, wait. Press turn, fold welt, top stitch along welt. Yeah, exactly. So our pocket isn't turned up yet, meaning the lower part of this pocket is still hanging down. So this is kind of a, can you please thread the needle? My goodness. I can't even see that there's an eye. Is it turning away from me? I think it's turning away from me. My goodness. Yeah, it's like facing that way, not that way. Because this isn't stitched down yet, you know, you're not going to close your pocket by stitching through your openings. I'm going to roll this a little bit and get that a little straighter. And so I'm going to stitch in the ditch right here. You could go, you don't have to do in the ditch. And this is going to sort of define this little welt that we created right there. It's not the place in here. Yeah, I'm imagining it went to post or quick post and not article. I would like that to be a better rectangle right there. Let's see if I can manipulate it a little bit. Like this, maybe just push that up and then push that up. This opening is so small. You can't edit the post to be an article either. Once it's posted, you'd have to start over. All right. Press turn full well. I should toast 3 sides. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna also lift this up and stitch down the ends here to make them a little crisper. There's so much lighting going on and I still can't see. Oh, it's not the sketch. Oh, okay. No, it's fine. Man, Twill shows every little error, or just like every wrinkle. Even if it's not an error, it looks like an error. So I stitched just to the right, or right on top of that little triangle. So here, this I was just stitching right here, right? So I pushed the triangle that way. And so then it really defines this end here. If you don't do this, it kind of makes your, now you have 3 sides that can kind of do this parallelogram thing, and that's why I like to sort of define it by doing that. All right, so now, if you want to top stitch along the top, you can do that now, but I like to do it when the pocket's up, because you also don't really want the pocket to be, you don't want to be able to lift your hand through the top, right? You just want to define it. It just helps it, right? So now we're gonna finish the sides of our pocket bag, and I'm gonna do a French seam again. Oh, actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stitch this little folded little accordion edge right here, just so it's not pulling apart when I go to sew the sides here. I'm just securing it, kind of tacking it in the seam there. So now you could just fold up your pocket, right, and serge the edges right here. And I'm gonna do a French seam. So it's gonna look awkward because there's not much space to do that. I'm just gonna pull this away and sew this. There's not much seam allowance, so it's gonna do just a whittle one, yeah. Oh yeah, viscose twill especially would show everything. Yeah, twill shows everything. It's kind of funny. There's something about it, I think because a lot of twills have like a sheen to them, and it's probably because of the diagonal weave, so it catches the light differently. I don't know what it is about it. I'm no fabric science person. I have a lot of little fibers from laundering the fabric. All right, so now my pocket basically looks like this. See, it's like inside the pant. So I'm just gonna turn it. And now I can just edge stitch those sides. I was all excited when I got home last night telling my husband, I'm like, okay, I found my life's mission. He was like, what? I was like, I want to have a retreat center for sewing. And his first response was like, but it's paradise. I'm like, I know. He's like, how are you gonna get them here? I'm like, we'll shuttle them. There is a fabric store in Chico. I can shuttle you. Let's iron this. Just reading chat. Okay. I'm gonna stick my chopstick in here and just pull on the seam like that. And we can just, we barely have room there to edge stitch it. It's not like a true French seam because we can't really see if any of our raw edges, unless we wanted to check. But I'm not really worried about it with pockets ever. I just really like the pocket to be clean on the inside of the pant here, like this. It's a little thick right there where you folded that fake welt. Let's shut the blind a little bit. Let's get this, I'm kind of cooking. Yep. Wait, what? Is my camera doing that? My camera's not doing that right now, is it, though? Oh, okay. Why are we talking about that? Why'd that come up? That's something I'm super paranoid about, and hence why you guys see the fabrics you see. I'm talking about the twill weave showing every freaking wrinkle in your fabric, even though your welt is sewn very nice. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, so we'll work on these little wrinkles here, lift it up, press it without any of these lumps behind it. Yeah, I had to change the shirt fabric I was using for the Sanders because of that. It didn't even expect it with that plaid. I was like, huh, didn't think that was gonna happen. But it was the little lines inside each section of plaid, you know, showing up. All right, so now what we can do is stitch through the top here, and it'll secure the pocket. So now if you don't do this, you'll have this like pocket that can kind of do this, right? Hello, I am a back pocket. So we don't want that, right? So we're going to secure this. Now, if you want visible top stitching, you can do these three sides only. You can't do the bottom now because the pocket is there and you would close your pocket. If you don't want this to be a functional pocket, you want it to always look perfect, you could do that. So you can stitch it through there. So I always kind of waffle, like, do I want 3 sides? I'll do 3 sides. Let's do 3 sides. Maybe that'll help my, I kind of want to make this light a little. I'm going to change this light. I'm going to put it on a table. Does that help me? So now I can see. It's very dark for me. It's not dark for you guys. Oh, I'm going to change my stitch length just to 1 notch. So now's your chance. side is not as square. It's all about fabric handling, right? You know what it is? It's not that it says not as square. It's that this welt is a little too wide for this end. Maybe we can give it the optical illusion of looking better than it does. Oops, not really. Not my strong suit, but not bad. Okay, so now we'll do our other one. One more. So we're just trying to get it to look the same or better, right? Same or better, that's our goal. That's the center back. So I'm lining up my notch to the dart. And what I'm going for here is trying to get the pocket to be like not doing this or this, right? We want this to be equidistant on either side. And I'm also looking at my drawn box on here, which you can probably barely see. It's like right here, right? So we're gonna pull this down. Get this on here and look for that box there. It's like right about here. Okay, that works. We want these to line up. Pull this down. So when I get to doing things like this, my goal really is like parallel lines, symmetry, things like that. I'm going to be less concerned with what the marking on the pattern is. If it needs to be ooched just a little bit, just so you can get something that looks visually pleasing, right? Because there's so much room for error when we're cutting and sewing, and little tiny things can add up to making things off a little bit, right? So at this stage, I'm like, okay, I'm going to open this up and go, you know, is this bottom line, is that parallel to that? And maybe I could, you know, and then I could measure it, right? Right, I can go, okay, that's 1 5/8, and a little bit lower, so I can raise it up a tiny bit like that, something like that. And then I'm also looking on either side here to make sure that's my goal. And I'm looking at it in relation to the pant as well, right? So if this is what we're thinking, kind of look at the box underneath. And I do this thing, I don't know what it's called. I feel like it's called something like shadow something, where they taught us this in design school when you're trying to figure out if a line is on top of another line and you can't see through what you're trying to stack up. They will do this thing where they go like this back and forth, and you can kind of see if they're lining up. So that's what you've probably seen me do that a few times, where I'm like, you know, I'm looking to see if it's lined up, and this looks good. So, oh, but I did this wrong. Oops. Start over. Right sides together. Right sides together. Right, so that's our notch. Okay. Is that parallel? I'm getting the same number, so that's good. It does look like it could go that way a tiny bit. And are we centered? If you're not centered, and this has happened to me so many times, where I just don't have enough seam allowance along the pocket to finish it, then I have to serge it. You know, it happens. All right, so we have this. Now we can mark our box on here. Do the soapstone again. Something more precise would be desired. I can sharpen this, but I have to use like a knife or something to sharpen it. I recently sort of sharpened it, but not like a fine point. I really like the Choco liners. We could try that. They really make a precise line, and in this case, we don't really care about if the chalk's going to stay there forever, which is nice. The white I haven't had any problems with, but the yellow, don't get me started on. If we ever meet in person, I'm wearing a white shirt. You'll see my buttonhole markings on there still. Okay, I'm going to take down my stitch length. We're going to do our box. Right sides together. One, two, three, four. Now I'm being parallel to my stitching rather than the chalk. One, two, three, four. Now we can cut our opening. This looks a little narrower there. This whole box is a little narrow, on the narrow side actually. I think I'm going to change it. We need it to be 3/8 of an inch or a centimeter wide. So I'm going to take it out a little bit, but I'm going to include the corners because they're really important not to have these little threads, these back stitches near, because they'll poke out. They'll poke out through your opening. Trust me. Like they'll poke out through the seam, the little thread. Doesn't matter. If you cut it really close, it's even worse because the closer you cut it, now you have this little short end that can poke through your seam. Really annoying. So I'm going to put the back stitch away from the corners. And we're just going to do this top edge a little better. I should have done this on the other one just to make sure I have that full 3/8. Because not only is this welt folded 3/8 of an inch wide, it's also like almost 1/8 of an inch thick, which alters the amount of space it's going to take up in the hole, right? So we're just being diligent about it. I cannot see what I've taken out, what I have. I can see my stitch holes, so I'm like, oh, is there a stitch there still? No. I swear there's no stitches there. There we go. Okay. So let's just stitch that again. We're here. We want this to be, we're setting ourselves up for success, right? So let's take my usual advice and draw the box on here so that oh my goodness, come on. Or we'll just throw chalk at it. Do you guys ever get itchy around chalk? I kind of do. And glitter. I can't even look at glitter. It makes me itchy. That's my line. Okay. Yeah, that's bigger. Sweet. I'm doing a half a stitch at the end. It's too dark. Oh my goodness. All right, we're ready. I mean, we're back on track now. We're always ready. Okay. So it looks better. Let's look at this side. Let's get rid of you, and you. And then I'm going to start my cut with my seam ripper. I'm just going to start it on either side now with just one layer each. It's a little easier. So part of my schedule is, and I know you're going to resent me for this, but my new schedule is that one thing I've been giving myself the last few months is on Saturday afternoons, I can do whatever I want here at the office. So usually it's been like a personal sewing project or something that's been bugging me. I want to just get out of the bins, you know. It can be whatever I want. It's my fun time. And I sew a lot at home now too, which is great. So often what I'll do is I'll cut out a project on Saturday afternoon and bring it home to sew, because that's kind of nice not having to cut it at home. So maybe it's not necessarily fun, but it's like, oh, this is like, I can just watch a movie and cut something out, you know, that's fun. And my new schedule, I have built in that time now is only holiday sewing. I'm only going to cut things out that I plan to make as holiday gifts. That's my plan. Unless I need to sew something for Sew Liberated, that's my plan. And I was already like looking at the calendar and like realizing there's like 7 Saturdays left. So if I cut something every Saturday and I sew it that week, by the next Saturday, that's only 7 things that I can make. That's just, you know, in some ways great to know. In other ways I'm like, huh, yeah, I think your plans were a little more ambitious than that. And I need to come up with all my plans, right? I haven't really settled on anything yet. I mean, I've settled on a few things, but that's it. Okay, so we're just going to press this initial seam. I press it up. I'm going to try not to iron those wrinkles in there, but it's hard. Can't pull too hard or you'll get those wrinkles too. At the corners, you know, the whiskers. It either means a depression or strain. One time I actually put something in here because it was like a wool or canvas. It was a canvas or something, or boucle. And the divot between the seam allowance, you know, here's your triangle, right? Like here's your triangle, and then there you have this little seam allowance here. That little divot between the two was so big, I ended up filling it in with a little piece of fabric. Because it was such chunky fabric, I could do that. You couldn't even tell. It helped a lot. I'm sure there's some sort of really cool tailoring technique to prevent that. Okay, so now we're going to probably mark yourself a nice little 3-inch parallel line here, right? With a ruler, not your fingertips. So I'm looking at, is this line parallel to here? You know, that kind of gives me an indication, as long as I know that this piece didn't get wonky when it was cut or sewn, which it could have, you know, very easily. Let's see how we're doing here. Yeah, that's pretty good. Except those telltale twill wrinkles. And the dart always pushes it this way. It's always going to do this, right? But we're going to stitch that down later and define the opening. And it's doing that because we pulled the fabric in and sewed a dart, right? So it's doing this. So there we go. Okay. Let me put a couple of pins here to hold that little folded welt. And then we will sew through just that bottom opening, like stitch in the ditch. I like to stitch in the ditch. You don't have to. You can stitch below the pocket. I found, like, I like either stitching in the ditch or stitching below the pocket, but what what I find is that this overall for me looks, I do a better job. I think when I stitch below here, right, you can only stitch and you have to stop here. If you do that, what I would do is, if you plan on stitching around these 3 sides, when you do this bottom row, go like a stitch past the opening here where you think you're going to start your box. This is where I always kind of fail, is when I stitch visibly below this seam, I line it up with this edge here, right? And then when I do that box, there's a gap between the stitching. So it's kind of meant to look like a continuous box, and mine doesn't because I forget about that. So that's my little tip. And it's just kind of created this habit where I just don't do that anymore, right? So, yeah. All right, so now I'm going to secure these little folded accordions here at the end. And I'm going to sew my triangle while I'm here, right? So I pull this over, not too far, and I sort of mash this all down and stitch along the stitching or to the right of it. You don't want to catch the fold, this right here, you don't want to catch this fold, like, at all. Your fabric might not be very forgiving. All right, and so now I'm going to stitch again through this accordion, and then now this triangle. It's so thready. Kind of surprising because it's on the bias, but twill is different. Twill is its own little animal. It's so tricky. I think one of the things I was going to say on my first one, Terry, is that it's really easy to stitch too much because you're trying to hide things and you're like, oh, all these wrinkles, I'm just going to stitch it down. And then it does nothing but make it look worse, or it doesn't solve it. And then you're like, oh, I hate this, I'm going to take it out. And then now you've got an overworked piece of fabric because you've taken it out. And because I know this could have done all that, you know. You mentioned it. All right, so now I'm going to sew my pocket. Wrong sides together here, even though it doesn't look like it. And enclose this edge. Get rid of some of this little hoo-ha here. And this one. Get rid of this little thread here. I hope he likes this dog print. All right. Turn. Right. I just like something really firm to pull up against. It's not really doing the trick this time. Why am I so hungry today? Ow, that was a lot of steam right there. Okay, let's pick this up and press the fabric without it all. Get rid of those wrinkles the best we can. I love whoever said, take your dog to work day. I think that is the perfect name for this fabric. I'm going to have to ask her what it is, really, because it's so cute. It's so funny. Okay, so now... Oh, is this when I do this? Oh, no. This is what I'm doing. I sort of want to do the triangles now. Is this, maybe this is when I usually do the triangles, not earlier. No, it doesn't matter. It won't matter. Never mind. I did it in the right spot. You could do it now, but you don't need to. I would do it earlier because it'll be easier to control where you're stitching. All right, so now our last thing is just top stitching these three sides if we're liking everything. I don't like how big this right here is. Sometimes maybe I should like stitch further away and not closer. Maybe on a fabric that was more like a plain weave, it would like register as more parallel. I don't know, that just doesn't look stitched well, honestly. There we go. Let's get rid of our stitches here. All right, so I think I'm gonna do the center back seam. I think it won't stay flat, Nancy. I think it'll get wavy, very wavy. It's not the dryer that shrinks wool, it's the agitation of water and soap. It's just kind of a I don't know. What's it called? When people have something, they think it's the wrong thing. I don't know. It's not the dryer that, I mean, the dryer doesn't help. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't contribute, but it's the water agitation. That's why, like, if you have a hand knit sweater and your armpits are felted, yeah, maybe I wouldn't throw it in the dryer. A misconception, thank you. Gosh, I knew it wasn't a misunderstanding. Yeah, you could probably throw it in the washing machine, but I would not throw it in the dryer. You're going to tighten it up by putting it in the washing machine, but then you could maybe put your like cutting mat on top of it and weight it down to flatten it to dry. I'm kind of curious now. Mine's kind of felt thready. It's not dingy. One of them has a scorch mark on it from when I first got the iron, and it kept sliding off of the iron rest. But I ended up getting that lint, the reusable lint roller, and it's great. I often also just flip the felt mat over. Wait, I'm flat felling. Oh, I'm flat felling, not French seaming. Shooting. Look at that hump right there. Let's straighten it out a little bit. I added a seam allowance to be able to do this, by the way, because the seam allowances are 3/8 and I wanted to flat fell this. I don't know about on twill pants if it should have been flat felled, but I'm doing it. Ooh, if Ray was here, she'd really enjoy that. Okay. The lint roller would actually be really clutch right now. Let's get rid of this. Maybe that'll help me turn it. Never know. Okay, so this is my current thing I'm trying to teach myself is I've got it down pat when I do a zipper fly that when I top stitch the back seat, I press the seam to the right? And when I do the front, I press it to the right as I'm looking at it, which guarantees they will be offset from one another at the intersection of the crotch and the inseam. I do not have this down pat with flat felling, and I keep thinking I have it, and they end up stacking on one another. So that's the thing I'm trying to teach myself right now. Right, exactly, Terry. That's what I think, Nancy. Low stakes. Okay, so if I press this, if I do this, if I press it this towards my right, like I always do, right? This is what I'm going to model it so I can kind of get a visual, okay? So this is, my seam allowance is pressing toward the right leg. Now, if I did this on the front, right, and I press this towards the right leg, towards the left leg. See, I've done this both ways, and both ways it's come out wrong, so I'm definitely not thinking of it the right way. All right, so now, if this were right sides together, and I were lining up the seam, here's the seam, and there's the seam, they're offset. Okay. Okay. So I can still do what I always do. I didn't need to reinvent this. Yeah, I flip mine a lot too, Nancy. Okay, we're going to trim this side, which is the right back. That's the way I'm doing this. Oh, wow. Oh, bummer, Tiffany. I used to have a friend, I used to like have an office inside this place called the Textile Design Center. They didn't design textiles. It was a terrible name for it. It was an incubator for any kind of like sewing related businesses. They still never understood why textile wasn't the right word, but whatever. And we could rent really affordable offices in there, and there was a lot of like retraining programs going through there for people who wanted like a different job and wanted to get trained in something new, or whatever. We had factory work, whatever. Anyway, there's a woman there, and she did a lot of like managed people's production, did small runs for them and stuff like that. And she would iron directly on her cutting mat. And it's kind of like the one I have in the other room, the white one, the clear white one. She would iron directly on that, and it would go whoop, like it would swell up, and then it would go down. So when I first started streaming, I used to slip my Olfa mat under my wool mat out of convenience so that I could, just slip it out and then cut on it if I needed a cutting camera back then before I had the cutting area. And that ruined that cutting mat. It's never been the same. So heat is terrible for lots of things. Oh, I rinse it off to the side, Nancy. Yeah, you got to be careful of that. Also, I have like a little, like at my work office, it's a really big sink like this with the hole in the middle, and I just do it over here. If I'm at home, I have a little like basket. But yeah, you're right. It works so good, though. I don't care. I have to deal with the threads, but yes, you're right. They're going to go somewhere. Stop, puckers. Stop. Just stop. Why I tell you, while I immortalize you. We're going to fold right along that stitch line. Hopefully it'll be okay. I really hate threads left over from seam ripping, but sewing on camera has made me let them sit there longer because, you know, sometimes I'll spend all this time removing every little thread from something I unpicked, and then I get there and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, by the time I got here, we've already trimmed this. Like, I could have just waited, and a lot of it would have been gone by the time I was about to sew, and I wouldn't have to spend all that time removing threads, you know. And I don't remove them all on camera just to save time. But then they're sitting there, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get rid of it now. Sometimes they're not gone. I was looking at Instagram stories yesterday. Not something I do very often. And because I wanted to watch a particular person's, she just got back from Rhinebeck. I saw she posted something. I was like, oh, I will live vicariously through this person. And the next story that played, you guys, was me sewing. It was my hands sewing, and I was like, that's me. Isn't that me? No face cam, just my hands, because I recognized what I was sewing. I was like, and it was Wardrobe by Me posting how to sew inseam pockets using my thing from her video. Like she paid me for that video, but for the balka dress in the red flannel, and it really made me go. It was just one of those really weird moments where it was like you question everything. Like, I mean, my stomach just went. I was like, that's me. Who is, oh, this is Wardrobe by Me. Okay, that's fine. It was hilarious. I messaged her. I was like, oh my gosh, my heart just like skipped a beat when I saw my hands in your thing. It was so funny. Okay, wait, okay, all the pockets are free and clear. This fabric looks very store-bought. Like it looks like a very store-bought fabric. I mean, I bought it at the store. You know what I mean? Ready to wear. Ready to wear. You did, Michelle. That's so funny. Yeah, I think a little screen. I think that's a good way to go about it, Nancy. I have one of those, Sylvia. I use it for de-pilling my sweaters when I do that. It came with my sweater shaver thingy. It doesn't shave the sweater, but whatever. Here we go. Okay. Was this my second one? My first one? They don't look that great. I feel like I stretched the fabric out a lot, even though I was really careful. They look really cute from the back, though. Maybe he could wear them inside out. Once they're broken in, they'll look store-bought. This is the thing. You look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, look at all those wrinkles. If you look at these at the store, they have these wrinkles too. Some of them are very not like that. If I had interfaced this, that would have helped a lot. Interfacing this. If you can keep the interfacing so it doesn't poke out past your pocket right here, but you have plenty of room above and below, right? Interface it. That would be help. That would help. All right, cool. I think I'm gonna stop there. I'm hungry. So on Saturday, we'll put in the zipper fly, the waist facing inseam and hem and side seams. It's like kind of a lot, but the side seam will be easy. The inseam won't take too long, and the zipper fly is no problem. Yeah, no problem. I think I'm gonna bind the waist facing. I forgot to cut interfacing for the waist facing, I think, too. Right? I think I did. So I need to cut that. I have my zippers over here, and I need to find binding for the interior. So that's the plan. So here we go. We did good. Yeah. How long did I take? A couple hours. I feel like welts are really fast, but if you're talking and stuff, basically talking to myself here. Takes a while. Oh, we can put our belt loops on. Let's do that really quick so we don't lose them. We have 4 back here. I think they go... I want to look at the picture. Here it is. Oh, okay, so they kind of line up with the edges of the pocket right here, like this. You could probably do them so that you have maybe one here, and you could do a crisscross one here. That'd be cute. I think that there are preferences by people and the kind of belt they're using. So you might ask whoever's going to wear them. I'm going to center it over the end of the pocket there. And we'll tack the pocket to the waist. Center. I'm centering it over that. Yeah, I think interfacing would have helped the pocket opening a little bit. Should we put a label in now? Nope. Not a waistband. Not a waistband. We may hear Saremy say that a few more times. This isn't even right. These need to go wrong sides down. These need to go wrong sides down. Sorry. You probably knew that. This is the top of the waist right here. So there will be a facing that finishes this top edge. And then you stick that down like that. I got to flip all those over. So we'll flip these over, then we'll go. Dang, Saturday's my last stream for a while. I mean, if you're in the guild and you see me in workshops, you're going to get plenty of me, don't worry. And I do have some videos on the horizon. I'm going to try, my schedule is going to be Fittopedia and trying to do at least one video every other week, but maybe shorter ones in between. We'll see. The goal is Fittopedia. I make no promises. Okay. I am convinced I would not have figured this out. I know I did just now, but I don't think I would have figured this out before I sewed the waist facing on. This was such an easy mistake that now I'm worried I just prevented the easiest mistake, and the mistake that'll happen will be big. But I like leaving this in neutral. I don't like leaving it with an issue, so we're doing it right now. All right, there we go. Cool. All right, back on track. Nice. Ah, exactly, Terry. That's exactly it. She'd be like, oh yeah. I'm gonna make your zipper broken and you won't even know it till it's done. Oh man. All right. I'll see you. Oh, thanks for that link there. All right. I'll see you guys on Saturday, part 2. Finish these up. Have a great Friday, and thanks for hanging out with me. Bye.